All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, episode 58.
An assassination attempt on Reinhard.
Yeah, and it failed, but it was by a stroke of luck that it failed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had help. Heinrich had help from the Church of Terra. This led to Reinhard basically taking very immediate military action
against them.
Yep. Completely wiped them out and captured the remaining ones on
Odin. Yeah.
Odin, yeah.
But Julian just arrived at Terra on the same day that Reinhard's like,
unlucky.
Send a military force to Terra to suppress them. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. With kind of the knowledge of like, okay, go and get me their leader alive. But anyone else that is a problem, that's not their, head honcho, do what you need to do. Which is terrifying.
Yep.
Because, we don't know, like, how many people that is. We don't know, like, whether or not Julian and co will actually be able to make it out of this unscathed.
But they did mention at least the amount of people on Terra, and I believe it was like 10 million. So
it was in the millions.
So that's it could potentially get very bad.
It could get very bad, and it could be something that could be used politically by anyone that wants to subvert Reinhard's rule and reputation. Because while I would say he responding to the Church of Terra's attack on him is something that could be seen by many others as a sign of strength and that he quickly gets rid of enemies. This is something that could be very much twisted into something that is a
excessive force in retaliation. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And could spark a different type of war than what we had previously with the Alliance.
To say nothing of the fact that now the one person who might have been his, the person at his side that he could trust is now at the very least, certainly in the public eye, going to be
sus.
Yeah, quite sus.
Yeah, and it's more, I would say, in connection based on her father and how he kind of coincidentally set this up.
Right, and then the fact that the assassin was, her cousin.
Right, exactly.
That's a little problematic.
Right. And given that they were just given, at least the father was given, a new position in, Reinhard's, chief of staff kind of general office for running things, that looks also a little bit bad.
A little bit power hungry. Yeah.
Yeah. So curious. Let's see how, at least, how's Hilda going to handle this? Because I don't suspect her at all. And in some ways, I do suspect her father a little bit.
Yeah.
But I could see it being a thing where he was used as well. Like, we don't know really yet. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, we got some good stuff getting set up here.
Yeah.
The idea of parasites. Parasites.
Oh boy. So no parallels at all between different characters in this episode.
Being established here.
Yeah, definitely
none at all.
Not.
Nope.
Yeah, whether you're talking about Julian and his buddies going into the Church of Terra and infiltrating it that way, and also this is a great point to point out because we went back and we clarified Archbishop, not Grand Bishop. So there was no finagling or whatever on that account.
Nope.
But lots of bishops and sub-bishops and all different ranks and things like that. And
foolish zealots just freaking out whenever a fallible mortal man comes by with a purple cloak.
Oh, this must be the Grand Bishop.
The Grand Bishop.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, yeah. But then we also had Reuenthal's conversation with Mittermeier, which, on the surface, it was quite good. And on the surface, it's like, oh yeah, totally normal. But then it's like, no. This is Reuenthal being a parasite there too. And then Bayerlane comes in, and it's like, hold on just a sec. Hi, you person. Yeah.
Rumor, by the way.
Right.
And I'm going to head out now.
Yep. But it very much felt like one of those things where, like, this was the conversation where Reuenthal would, like, sort of seed the ideas of like, hey, Mittermeier, you know, we gotta do some shit, right?
Yeah, and again, he's up against the iron wall of Mittermeier's honor. Like,
right, his earnestness, yeah.
Mittermeier's honor is something that will not be subverted in this way.
Nope.
And even though he knows Reuenthal is someone that is, you know, ruthless, cunning, and someone that he would, I would say, respectfully fear if he was an opponent.
Right.
He is a fast and deep friend in that regard. So there is no immediate threat in his mind, and I would say that Reuenthal is, you know, seditious or
right. And the thing is that they've been, because of circumstances, they've become very good friends, but that friendship hasn't truly been tested, I feel like. Because they were always
survival sense.
Well, in the survival sense for sure, right? But that if anything I would see as something that would help them bond even more. Yeah, and kind of a necessity thing, right?
Sure.
Whereas now that they're in this space where their goals and objectives might lead them in different directions, right?
Yeah, they're complete in many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Reuenthal has this restlessness, you know, but he's found a woman. And wait, is this going to be your potential piece? Like, you could see that Mittermeier was like, wait, really?
Wait,
like,
hold on, that...
And then
and
the way
you're
Reuenthal...
pursuing her.
Yeah.
And then Reuenthal gives that line, and it's like, wait, hold on, dude.
I took her by force and authority. And it's like, that's that him mocking the whole noble kind of thing. The whole thing of like, yes, I am a man with power, therefore I take what I want. And he's like...
But at the same time, it's the whole thing of he is totally power tripping, but then it's also the thing of I want to see if this person is also a rebel.
Has some fight in them, basically. Which is kind of fucked up, because what you can see is happening here is he's very deeply affected still by what happened in his past as a child.
Even the comparison, Freud would have a field day. Like with the you tried to kill me with a knife. My mom also tried to kill me with the knife.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, that's hot. Your hands. Oh man,
calm down. They
remind me of my mother that tried to kill me when I was a little baby with a knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sips tea.
Right, and then proceeds to go on a big monologue. I love the way that they're handling Reuenthal's character. I feel like I understand him, right?
Yeah, his ego is very consistent with the stuff that they've built up for his character.
And when I say that, that's important because without the context of how fleshed out his character is being, the monologue gave me huge villain vibes. And then what does he do? He starts monologuing.
Yep.
But I get it, right? There's this part of it that even though I'm like, oh man, Reuenthal, you are messed up. It's also one of those things of
Reuenthal.
This is going to be very compelling to watch.
Yeah, because dude, he's gonna make things happen.
Yeah.
The thing that's really exciting about Reuenthal specifically is that he doesn't like a vacuum. He has to bring in chaos, some kind of little element of conflict, because him seeing this, woman attack him, who's Lichtenlad's, what was it, niece or something like that?
I believe so, yeah.
That's what a deep cut for the show to basically be like, hey.
Just out of nowhere, yeah.
Remember the old regime and stuff and how instrumental you were in helping Reinhardt, overturn it?
Reinhardt's not the only one with enemies. He might be the person in the spotlight, but
right,
you've got enemies too.
Yeah, so she sees you ultimately as basically a parasite from that era that won.
Sure.
You made out like a bandit in that whole thing.
Right. And then he's
that whole thing of like a bandit is kind of his whole thing of, wait, you're going to throw that shit at me?
Yeah.
It's like,
at least I toil.
He's like, I just uprooted bandits.
Right.
That was my whole thing there. I was justified in that regard. And it's great because he's basically saying this in the stance of, he so embodies an aspect of Reinhardt's philosophy, in that the idea that authority and power given to those who didn't earn it or didn't strive or go into conflict, basically go into the crucible of conflict for it, they are the worst of the worst. They are the lowest of the low, and they need to be completely eradicated and removed. So he's like, I am on board with what Reinhardt's doing, but now here I am in a position of power that maybe on some level he doesn't entirely feel like he deserves it, but he's like, no, I at the very least deserve maybe even. Well, no, he doesn't feel like he deserves that. No, he's like,
But I will take it.
I want more than. So
yeah. And
how can he have peace? Jeez.
And the similarities that he has with Reinhard make it very interesting when he thinks about the idea of going against Reinhard. Because on the one hand, he respects Reinhard immensely, right? Mm-hmm. He is like
9 years his younger.
Mm-hmm. And yet he did all of these things, right?
He took the galaxy by its throat.
Right. He is Reuenthal's own ideal, basically. True. Right? Now, given that Reinhard is human, right? He is mortal, and he is starting to fray at the edges. It might be something where Reuenthal starts to think maybe I can do it better, you know?
Yeah, it's that impatience that the Church of Terragai was warning the Archbishop about. He's like, whoa. We don't need to act in impatience here just because we had a failed attempt or what have you. And the guy like turns and looks at him and is like, like, how dare you question me? In this case, Reuenthal is feeling maybe a bit of that impatience, frustration of like, I had all this ambition and now do I have to stop because there's no more conflict or something like that. I can't use that conflict to climb the rungs of the ladder anymore.
And at the same time, is the fact that I didn't actually have the guts to, fight against the old regime, right? The fact that I am kind of just following in Reinhard's footsteps and hanging on his coattails, even though he has an incredible amount of competence himself, and within that movement that was happening, he is definitely cutting out a piece of the galaxy for himself, right?
Yeah, him and Mittermeier have they've
been kicking ass, right?
Yep.
But it's still something where he was doing that while following someone else, right? Mm-hmm. And
that's got to eat him up.
That's got to eat him up. And if even for someone like Reinhard, right, is fraying at the edges when he bears that weight of the galaxy on his shoulders.
And he doesn't see all of that necessarily.
Oh, for sure.
Reuenthal doesn't.
Reuenthal doesn't. Reinhard doesn't. Like, but would Reuenthal actually be able to bear that weight himself? Because I think he might be able to take it, but would he be able to hold it, right?
This is where things would actually be really good to psychoanalyze a bit of what he's doing right here. In this episode, he went to two people and had personal, vulnerable, to a point, exactly, different levels of vulnerability, of conversation. And what I think he's basically doing here is he's revealing the opportunity that these people have to come alongside him. And remember, Reinhardt was doing phenomenally well when he had someone alongside him.
Yep, that's true.
And now that he doesn't, there's all these people being like, hey, dude, not just for your own mental health and what have you, but for the sake of your own, line, you should bring someone alongside you. Now, they're specifically thinking like, make babies, dude. Like,
exactly.
Get someone pregnant. Yeah, and we can think about the future in case an assassination attempt actually does work.
When an assassination attempt goes through, it's not all ogre. But
yeah.
in the situation with Reuenthal, like even with the whole idea of like the traditional villain monologue, I feel like most of the time it happens because it's not just something where they're wanting to speak and have the spotlight, but they're also basically resolving something within themselves, right?
Yep.
Where it's the culmination of their own growth and journey and things like that, and that's why they need to say it, right?
Yeah, hopefully your villain is an actual character like Reuenthal.
Exactly, right.
So these monologues make sense.
And so in this situation, when he's talking to Mittermeier, when he's talking to this lady, I forget her name, right? Yeah. He's not saying it for them. I mean, on some level he is, but I think it's also something where he's working up the gumption to basically say, am I going to do this, right? Because I'm not fully sure yet. I have the desire. In spades, right? Mm-hmm. But there have been things in the past that have made me balk, right? That have made me not actually follow through. And even now there are some, and I'm trying to work to get those out of the way.
Right.
But I do know that I am still just one man, right? And Mittermeier, who is at my side throughout, everything up till now, he's kind of not here, right? I'd have to actually win him over for this in particular, and then Bayerlane comes in, and there's that whole thing. But then even with this lady here, it's like, maybe there's enough, mess of emotions, etc., whatever, hatred, however you want to call it, that maybe I could actually have some kind of real connection with her, because certainly with all the other ladies that have come before, right, it was just a thing of the, well, you know,
I had no fire.
Yeah, no fire. Right. That is a great way to say it. Yeah.
You got no fire.
Yeah, I got no matches. Call
me, my man.
Yeah.
Minimize, my man.
Right.
Where's my fire?
Right. And I think that's one of the reasons, not just the whole, you know, mommy also tried to stab me with a knife, but why I think Freud would have a field day with Reuenthal, because it's something where that is still that kind of childlike insecurity, that question, right? You know, and that's why he's seeking that confirmation, you know, and as such he tests her, or partner, right? And he tests her, right? You know, like when he leaves, he's like, fine, leave, whatever you want, right? Because he's like, okay, maybe I was wrong, right? You know, but he leaves the door open, and maybe that's so that she can leave, sure, but then there's
totally for both,
right, but it's for both. It's the will you come after me? Will you try to kill me again? You know, like, you know, what's going to happen?
These guys would have the most ridiculous hate sex. Like, it would be, it would be pretty freaky.
It would be
maybe a bit bloody. Like,
I'm almost definitely sure.
Yeah. But, okay. This whole thing, though, being a way to point at Reuenthal, and he uses the in with Mittermeier of, hey, you know, Job Trunit is quite a spectacular businessman.
It's like, wow, okay.
So one of the things that I've seen people do where they have basically they have a thing that they're not sure is acceptable by people in their environment.
Sure.
Is what they'll do is they'll frame someone out there as a theoretical to basically be like, hey, is this acceptable? Or don't
to suss the water.
Don't you kind of admire and respect in some ways the audacity of this man?
And of this bitch. Yeah.
Right. Basically, Reuenthal is almost openly admitting that, hey, yes, he has no honor.
Yeah.
He has no...
Right. He has no redeeming qualities with what you hold in high regard, Mittermeier.
But he has results.
And, you know, like... Basically, it's the... I don't want you... One, I want you with me. I want you to help me with this, right? Because I need your help. But two, I also don't want you to judge me or think less of me.
Yeah.
Because you are one of the few people whose opinion I care about.
Right. But what's one of the attributes about Trunit that's very easy to just kind of suss out based on that behavior?
No loyalty.
Well, yes, no loyalty. But the reason why he did it at all was because he was desperate.
Okay.
So, the idea of a lack of patience being something that was paralleled with, you know, Reuenthal and also the Church of Terra guy. But also then the woman who was trying to kill him basically saying that you are basically on a collision course with death. Your whole thing here is going to lead to your ruin. So she's almost encouraging him, like, yeah, and your mother failed. Like, she would have actually, like, cleansed the galaxy from this blot.
And maybe that's why he's like, oh, I will pursue this person. Because she will egg me on to do the things that I'm not fully certain whether I can do or not.
Right. So what is the line of men live quiet lives of desperation?
Men live lives of quiet desperation,
Of quiet desperation. Reuenthal, I think, is embodying a very particular aspect of this. Is that what I think
he's gearing up for it to be loud.
Is needing is basically the same thing that they use, and this is maybe, I'm getting way too into this, but I feel like this is the brilliance of the setup writing here, is that that's what was going on also with the guy who just tried to assassinate Reinhardt. Kummel. He was getting desperate that his moment wasn't going to happen.
Right, so he would take his moment, whatever it was, regardless of the consequences for himself and his family and all that.
Yeah, not because he had ambition, but because he was desperate. And I think what Reuenthal is revealing here is that he's going crazy because he's starting to succumb to his whims based on his desperation.
And it's like, oh, Reuenthal, imagine what it's like for Reinhardt. Well,
Reinhardt thankfully kind of can
Okay, yeah.
Maybe.
It's easier, or in some respects it's harder, but in other respects it's probably easier because in Reinhardt's case, he reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering him, right? Whereas with Reuenthal, it's something where it's the I'm so close.
Right. For Reinhardt, it's was it all worth it?
Right. And what do I have now? Because I don't seem to like.
Exactly.
I have more respect and honor for the dead than I do for my own self. Right.
Reuenthal has this hope, basically, that it will all mean something, that'll be worth it.
Right out in front of him.
And also, I think he likes actually the hunt of it. The idea of him saying that the usurper has so much more value because of that toil, that struggle that they go through.
Okay, weird comparison.
Okay.
This feels like post-nut clarity.
Wait. Go into this, please. So what do you mean?
So Reinhardt was in the stage of conquering, right? You know, and he was building up, and he reaches the
Reinhardt
climax.
Has post-nut clarity.
Reinhardt has post-nut clarity.
Gotcha.
Reuenthal not quite, right? And
so he's cucking himself intentionally.
Yeah,
with like rings on his dick and everything.
Right, like with what's his face, Poplin, right? He's horny for conquer, right? For conquering, right? For conquest.
He's doing weird advances with women and stuff. He's also turning down any the kind of relationship.
It doesn't apply to the whole of everything. But
I think
that kind of desperation, right? Where he's thirsty for it.
Yes. So what I actually think it does actually parallel decently well with it is the idea of someone that's basically like, I'm gonna nut so big.
Right.
Like
that will fix everything.
Yeah, I'm going to hold myself back as long as I humanly can, and I'm going to fuel myself on that pain, on that frustration and that desperation. And I like the fact that she basically is like, I'm trying to destroy you. I hate you, Reuenthal. So she goes, oh, Freud could have a field day with you. I'm going to have a field day with you and psychologically just throw my barbs at you, and basically says, in the end, in your pride and conceit, you'll rise up against the master that you now hold high, deducing that she knows he respects Reinhardt because of how much he disrespects her and the regime that she's attached to. Yeah. So she's actually quite smart to be able to piece that together in seconds.
It's something where this dynamic was very quickly established. It is very fucked up, right? I want her to stick around, though.
I do too. Because it'll be so entertaining.
You know what it feels like? And this nothing against her, but for how I feel like Reuenthal is almost treating her, it's a similar thing to the Disney villain that needs their parrot, their person on their shoulder that is kind of like egging them on, you know?
Really? Whoa.
Like because it helps basically it strokes his own ego, but then also I think that's too simple. Okay. So it's definitely too simple.
What I think it is that he's like, imagine the eye of the storm and it being something where in order to reach the eye of the storm, you have to come at the storm from the outside. And oh, that's so fun. That's so frustrating. That's so infuriating. It's all these things that make him come alive. But every time he goes for a relationship and stuff, they're like, why do you have to go into the storm, man? The storm's just in that little area over there.
They're much too sane for him.
They're much too sane for him, exactly. So he's basically like, are you my batch of crazy?
Right, yeah.
And
because you might be. You tried to kill me.
Right,
you know,
will you encourage me in my crazy? I don't think he needs that. I think it's more the thing of where he's just like, will you just go with me in my crazy?
Sure.
Like, if you don't, then what's the point?
Yeah, because
I don't need another distraction. Get out of here.
Right. You know? I don't want a distraction, and yet I realize that I do have my own limitations, and that's why he looks up to Reinhardt so much, right?
Yeah,
because he sees Reinhardt.
His cause is far greater than mine.
Right, his cause is far greater. So it's the I must marshal up everything I can from within me and without, so that way I can have my own glorious nut.
Yeah,
you know?
If anything, this is the classic tale of basically the human trying to overthrow the gods.
Right. Yeah. But he's a stout believer in them.
Right. Who is constantly finding flaws with the way the gods do things, but can't help believing in at least one of them.
Right.
So maybe it's the idea that he he wants to overthrow the idea of gods, maybe, and he would rather kind of things go a little bit back into that idea of not really just anarchy, but the idea of power being something that is constantly fought over, and authority is something that is wrested, not something that is doled out.
And I think that's
arbitrarily.
Right, and I think that's what it is. And that's why he sees Reinhardt's vision as being greater. Because for Reuenthal, it's the seizing of the power in and of itself, right? That is what satisfies him. It won't satisfy him in the long run because eventually he will have to stop, right? But with Reinhardt, it's that there was this grand vision for why he was doing it that went beyond himself. But now that is hollow, that's empty because he doesn't have the people that were closest to him, right? So it's what was it all for, but that doesn't really matter as much anymore because, hey, there's nothing left to conquer, so that's not put under pressure, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in the case of Reuenthal, it's the...
It's good.
It's good.
But
it's good.
We've got a bunch of other things in the episode, too. Julian has now made it to the Church of Terra's headquarters, gotten an inn, basically, done the refugee kind of pilgrim kind of looking.
Donations.
Yeah, exactly. And this is very much a really freaky cult. Like, I don't...
As if the last episode didn't
right.
that enough.
But, like, this is one of those things where I kind of compare this to the equivalent of Attack on Titan's, like, Wall Church, basically. Like, there isn't anything transcendent or basically pushing the believers into anything that I can see that's immediately, like...
Yeah, like what
even beneficial.
Right.
Like,
how does it help them in their daily lives kind of a thing?
Right, because usually what makes a religion really successful is that there is just enough good within it.
Right.
That the people who are in it will do all the marketing and stuff for you that you don't need to brainwash them into doing.
Right.
Because it relies on certain tenets of human psychology or just enough stuff that will... make it be self-sustaining, but this just feels like an isolationist group. That's,
right, and if they're in enough of an echo chamber bubble, it's
isolationist. So
then right, right. Because I feel like one of the things that religion can do often is it's basically a substitute why. It's a here's a group why, right? So in the case of like say Reuenthal, where he's thinking Reinhardt's purpose is so much grander than mine, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of these people, right? So there can be that security in the I don't have to be burdened with glorious purpose or whatever. I can just sort of attach myself.
I don't have to ask questions about purpose or what my life will mean or anything like that. I'm attached to this.
Almost like a parasite. Yeah.
It's really funny, actually, how this episode took basically the framing of TrueKnit and basically said, hey, let's apply that to
as
everyone in this episode for the theme.
What's the theme? TrueKnit.
Yes.
Like
the most ridiculously like overt scumbag in this show.
Oh yeah, he's so awful. He's so pathetic.
He's still alive.
But he's still kicking.
Still kicking and fighting like a little cockroach.
Yep.
He can take all the nuclear blasts. He's like,
I'll come back. It only makes me stronger.
I'm gonna eat this radioactive shit.
Right. Hit me with a shoe. That won't be enough.
No.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because then within even the Church of Terra now, with this Archbishop Billy here, he is entirely divested basically from the Church of Terra. He does not seem to have any belief in what they're doing.
He literally had the Homelander thing, of like...
Once everyone leaves, he goes to drink his alcohol. He's like, hey, foolish zealots. Like,
right.
I love when that stuff happens because it only happens in TV shows where you have that third person omniscient perspective. But every once in a while, you'll have an organization, be it a religious organization or whatever, and you look at someone who has that look of like, I don't care about anyone here. I am just moving my way up. And you can see it in their eyes. They're just so dead and cold. No, because they're playing nice. They have the mask on.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, when they go back into a closed room and stuff, and then they go like, ugh.
Yeah, the pupils just go, or the if this is an anime, right? The pupils and the irises all just go to one flat color.
It's basically the sociopath mask where you just have the
gloves come off and then you see who they really are.
Right.
Yeah.
I am really adept at making you all believe that I'm very interested in this cult here, and then once everyone leaves, he goes to his secret compartment with his little vice, and then he's like,
and that's why the cold crazy is so much more terrifying for most people than the hot crazy. Yeah. And I'm not saying hot crazy like the ooh, that turns me on.
Like
crazy.
what almost happened between
No, I'm talking about the the foaming at the mouth kind of crazy. But man, this is I'm really excited that they're setting up all these different just like tendrils, I feel like, of ways that the story can go, and parasites and things like that, because I love it when one-on-one conflict within organizations and people and things like that. That's can definitely be interesting. But when you add little things in there that make it not quite so direct, right? That's where I get really excited. And this one added I can't.
Well, no, it reinforced mostly a couple that we already had.
Sure, and then showed how they'll progress in some very interesting ways.
Yeah, the main one that they introduced, though, was the idea of the Church of Terra going to eat itself out from the inside.
I straight up want there to be some kind of Archbishop DeVille song. Like I know that it would make no sense for it to happen here, and I know it's not actually Ville, but Archbishop DeVille. Yeah, it's like, I got you. It's like,
But all right, Julian's here. We got Wallen on his way.
Yep. And freaking Mueller with the new flagship. That was awesome.
A nice little touch.
I like that.
Just like Reinhard being like, all right, I'm gonna send you off over there, but I'm also going to be commissioning kind of smashing the wine bottle, so to speak,
exactly.
on the ship, and it's like, all right, okay, you got this ship, buddy. You're moving up in the world. And I believe there's not necessarily some kind of new in-between fleet admiral rank and just regular admiral.
Yeah, no, I think it's just maybe that he got promoted multiple ranks.
Yeah, I think it's that he was a rear admiral. Let me go back and check this here.
But then it's like now he's way up there. Admiral Mueller.
No,
okay,
he's an admiral. So
maybe did he just get his own special rank just for that?
Because Mittermeier, Oberstein, and Reuenthal are the high admirals.
Right.
So maybe Mueller is a special admiral. He is some kind of
You are on the council, but we do not promote you to the rank of master.
No. He got supermaster here. He basically would have maybe he's lead admiral now.
Yeah, who knows?
Or something.
But
either way,
no one else has a
things are going up in the world for Mueller.
Yeah.
And I like it because there's wholesome boys, basically, in this mix of things.
In this, with all these den of thieves and stuff.
And parasites who are just doing their due diligence.
Doing their good job.
Yep.
Like Bayerlane and Mueller and Kessler.
Oberstein's dog is probably when Oberstein comes home and he's like, I had a really bad day.
And come here, Snuffles.
Just right. I just imagine Oberstein getting into bed. The dog comes at the thing and puts his head on the bed right here. And Oberstein just kind of pets it a little bit. And just a single tear just comes out. just the cold, unfeeling man that he is. And it's just the softness of the fur of the dog just kind of looking at him with that
No one ever asks, how is Oberstein?
Yes. Even the dog doesn't ask. The dog just knows.
The dog is accepting knows. And Oh man.
Yes.
Oh man.
I also feel like Oberstein really got put through the ringer in the beginning of this episode, and it needs special note in that Reinhard, that was rough.
And apparently
I said that on purpose. Yes.
Yeah. And apparently it seems like he was actually the one who put them in house arrest.
No. The Mariendorfs intentionally put themselves in house arrest.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's just that they had decided, we're not gonna. I think Oberstein was like, that's fine. I like it. You guys think like I do.
Yeah, I sign off on it.
I agree. I'm not going to subvert your decision here.
Right. You're free to do as you wish. Yes.
Right. This is also the guy that came in and was like, yes, you should get married, but not to that one.
Not to that one. Which is funny though, because it was specifically Mariendorf's dad, or just Mariendorf, Mr. Mariendorf,
Count
right?
Mariendorf,
Count Mariendorf, who went to Oberstein and was like, by the way, Reinhardt needs to get hitched, and he's like, and you have a recommendation, my good sir,
right? But then, not to that potential parasite. Because remember, guys, of the old regime, they are one of the only families that kept everything.
Yeah.
So they did very well for themselves as well as a parasite of the old regime, if you think about it.
And Hilda, she was up front when she first went to meet Reinhardt. Like,
you're a rising star.
You're promising. You're a rising star. We're going to attach ourselves to you, right?
And we will make your ascent.
Yeah, it will be a symbiotic relationship.
Exactly.
But they did quite well. So
and that can't be ignored.
Yeah.
So the idea that Oberstein has this let's have it be someone that no one knows about. Let's have it be a random citizen. Let's have it.
And that just goes into what?
Enrose, matchmaker for Reinhardt. Make an episode out of it. Oberstein is with her, and he's like, no.
For political reasons, and that doesn't work.
No, but literally, Enrose is like, I've provided 17 women, and Oberstein's like, no.
If
anything,
you get
to the block B.
What would be interesting though with that is if that ever is. If that were to ever be brought up, then Reinhardt would be faced with the whole thing of, if I'm not going to be doing it for political reasons and I want it to mean politically zero, then he is going to go into a situation where he will have to go out into the country and find a bride. And if he doesn't want to do it in the way that the old Kaiser did it, then that will make for some interesting interactions, because then he will have to remove himself from the position of that high authority and become a regular person again. And maybe at that point,
that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, it's a stretch of whether it would happen, but I think it's not a stretch that it would have to happen if he wanted it to go that way. If he didn't,
but remember, not everyone can be Mittermeier and his lovely wife.
No, totally, right? That would be to downplay that and how rare and precious that is.
Right, that is
especially in their positions, right?
Yeah.
But if that ever did happen, that could potentially be a way for Reinhardt to reconnect himself with a new why, with that real purpose for why he's doing what he's doing.
Right, and then he comes back to Mariendorf and he's like, and I found out that you're actually the only person that I truly could find myself to love in this way. Will you be my wife?
Yeah.
And Oberstein's, what the fuck was all this work for? Oberstein, I can totally see that moment where he's like, I've decided to make Mariendorf my wife, and it's just his left eye just twitches, and he's like,
immediately he just collapses, Kaiser, and he's like, I'm having a heart attack.
No, I think he's like, my Kaiser, may I ask to be excused to my room? And he's like,
he takes
the pillow.
No.
And the dog comes over wagging his tail.
The dog is on the bed, and he just puts his face into the side of the dog and just.
Dog turns over and starts licking him.
Yeah.
Okay. Memes aside, this episode was really good.
Yep.
It set up a lot of stuff. It was packed with a lot of really well done character writing, and it ironed out in a really good way where Reuenthal is at in a galaxy where Reinhardt has won. Which means that he is actually going crazy. He is breaking down. Break down. But we have yet to see how things will play out with him and the Lichtenlad girl.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I wanted to point out as far as why I appreciate all the stuff that's happening so much is because this kind of conflict, this section of the story, right? I knew it would kind of get to a point like this probably at some point, but I didn't realize how the story would continue after that and keep things interesting and dynamic. Yeah. Because when it's Empire versus Alliance, that's very straightforward, right?
Yeah, kind of cheesy.
Yang versus Reinhardt, right? It's cheesy, but it's the good cheese, right? And then we get to stuff like this, and it's like, okay, how are they going to make this not just seem like time that's spent before we get to the resurgence of the Alliance, or Fejon rebelling, or all that stuff.
I'm cosplaying Fejon now. I've given up on the Alliance.
Right?
I'm with Yang. Let's retire.
I'm with you.
I'm with Yang. Let's retire and live a good, peaceful life, man.
Right. But given that this is only halfway through the show, the fact that they're able to make because usually the midpoint is the one that lags the most, in stories, because then it's true. How do you make it not feel like it's just putting off the climactic finale.
Right.
And this is right, and this is doing a fantastic job of that. So I really want to give this show high praise here because this is where most stories falter, and it's doing a bang up job.
And we're gonna get some intrigue there. So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, info for it, that is in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.